Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. We can stand up and do the pledge of allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here, motion, someone approve the minutes of 2/24/25. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Can I hear a motion to nominate and elect the chair of the select board?
I would not nominate Jeff Thing.
Yes.
Second.
We hear a second?
I seconded.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Any opposed? Motion passed. And before I hand it over to you, Jeff, do I hear a motion for the nomination of the vice chair?
I would nominate Cheryl.
I'll second.
Anyone opposed? Motion passed. You wanna, Jeff, if you wanna go through that appointments under
Yep.
heading 4?
And who have we got listed? We have our list in our books of the appointed ones we had last year.
For assessor, we have Mary Jo Peter.
Mm-hmm. Mary Jo was sister,
Page 8.
AJ. Do I hear a motion to appoint Mary Jo Teeter as a town assessor? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried.
Next is the constable.
Constable. Do I hear a motion to appoint Dale Kerber as constable?
I would make that motion.
I'll second.
Any comments or questions by the board? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Let's see, development review
No,
board,
dog warden.
dog warden.
I would not nominate Paul Donaldson.
I will second.
He shares the service.
You nominated Paul?
Yes.
And you seconded? Any comments and questions? All in favor? Any opposed?
I'll see that one is in.
4th of July director.
4th of July director,
Sarah, I nominate Sarah Punky.
no second. Any comments by the board? All in favor? Motion carried. Planning Commission,
Currently, we have Jamie Lee, Mark Teeter, Jonathan Andrews, Douglas Langdon, and Mary Sue Reed.
do I hear a nomination for those names given for the Planning Commission?
Excuse me, does a 1 year or 2 year term?
I think they're 2-year terms.
When 2 years for your group.
So yeah, or be necessary for this year.
I'm sorry.
It's been 30 years. Did you see him?
No, he's on the development review board.
What was your question, Mark?
They can't, if it's a 1 year and a 2 year, they both can't be needed for this year, right?
I think they're all 1-year appointments.
Yeah.
1 year.
So it was a big, yeah.
Okay.
Right here, any questions by the board? All in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
Mark, I'm assuming you're abstaining from yourself.
Recreation Director,
Sarah Pelkey,
Motion for Sarah Punky. Good meeting.
Hmm?
Recreation Director.
Well, there's
oh wait, no, sorry.
no, that's,
Recreation Commission, Sarah Pelkey.
That one really good.
I'm sorry.
I'm like, what?
So we'll do what we do.
Everything has to come to me.
Nominate Cheryl.
nominate Cheryl
Okay.
Warrior. Oh, you got a second for Cheryl?
Oh, she's-
I apologize.
You're going.
It's okay, I'm like, I don't know this.
Question, you know,
We both do both.
Did I hear a second?
Yeah.
Alan did.
Okay. All in favor?
Uh,
Any opposed? Motion carried. Recreation Commission?
That's Sarah Pelkey.
mhm.
I hear Sarah.
Okay, Sarah.
I hear
I'll
second.
second.
Any comment? Questions? All in favor? Motion, any opposed? Motion carried. RCSWD rep,
Rutland County Solid Waste District. Currently me.
it's currently you.
I would nominate Paul to remain as the RCWD representative.
Second, any comments or questions by the board? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. RRPC,
We have the primary is Sarah Pelkey and myself as the alternate.
I'm gonna Sarah Pelkey with Paul. Alternate.
I'll second.
any comments or questions? All in favor? Any opposed? We're almost done. We're halfway through. Tax Collector,
No, Rutland Regional,
Yeah, no.
Transportation Council.
RRPC.
We did Rutland Regional Planning Commissioner.
I don't see that on here.
She did right here.
I just said RRPC for both of them.
Yeah, take him from.
You got it. You got it. Right here, our nomination.
Sarah is the primary and I'm the alternate.
Okay, oh, your nomination?
Yes. Sarah O'Connor.
Sarah's the primary, Paul's the alternate.
Yes, yes, I would.
Wait here a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Now the tax collector.
Correct.
Sorry about that.
I nominate Paul Donaldson. for tax collector.
You're a second.
Second.
Any comments or questions by the board? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Town Energy Coordinator.
Currently me.
Oh, you got them all.
That's fine, it's sweet.
Put them all together.
We would.
Just
no, we
pick a
didn't-
space.
didn't pick.
Oh,
I
you
would-
nominated him.
I would in. Right. Nominate Paul.
Any comments or questions?
Oh, God.
All in favor? Any opposed?
Town Services Officer, which is me.
I nominate Paul.
What do you do, Paul? So that.
If the town gets sued, I accept the paperwork.
It's okay.
Who seconded? Ellen? Thank you.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Tree Warden,
Stevens Hanfield.
Stephen Canfield,
Stevens Hanfield.
Newport, yeah.
Hansfield.
Nominate Stephen.
Oh, yeah, tree.
I'll second.
Second one, right.
Any comments or questions by the board? All in favor? Any opposed?
Does you want the job?
Yeah.
Motion carried.
He's a scratch zoning administrator out there.
Scratch that off. Zoning administrator is off. Otter Creek's communication rep,
It's Mark Teeter.
Mm-hmm, yep, still going.
Nominate Mark.
a second. Comments or questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried.
No, so,
Emergency management,
Currently, Aaron Kerber is the coordinator and I'm the director.
Nominate Aaron Kerwin, Paul, director.
second. Any comments or questions by the board? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. That's all.
Correct.
if we can go back to the zoning administrator, I thought we did hire one.
We did. That's why
That's why we scratched it.
I scratched it.
That's we put his name in this.
We'll put it in next year's report.
Okay, go to the report now. It's good to.
As far as the appointed town officers. Should he be there if you really gonna do?
You appointed him for a 3-year term, what, a few meetings ago.
Yeah.
That's why I took him off. Because the term is still 3 years.
So confused.
That's a 2-year term. Adoption of notice posting policy publishing in the newspaper.
Okay, so currently we post the notices here, at the message board out here by Toad's Burger, on the website, at the library, and at the post office. If you want to have that same policy, then someone make a motion, please.
I hear a motion to adopt that policy. Val made the motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second. Paul, you said town office, message board, website, library, what was the last one?
Post office.
Oh, post office.
You seconded it? Cheryl seconded it. Any comments or questions by the board? All in favor? Any opposed?
Publishing
Motion
in the newspaper had been Lakes Region Free Press or the Rutland Herald. Lakes Region Free Press, as you know, has gone digital. The other alternative is Rory's paper, is
Lakeside.
that called the Lakeside News or something?
Rutland sign.
I don't know, I was talking to an attorney in my capacity of village manager about some posting requirements for a village project, and he suggested that we use the Rutland Herald, but that doesn't mean this board has to.
When does the Rutland Herald come out now? Not every day. How many days a week does it come out?
I don't know,
I don't know.
more than one day a week.
You're saying 5 days a
It
week?
doesn't come out Sunday and Monday.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So it's
It's
online.
5 days.
It's online 5 days a week.
Online.
It's online too.
It's online. Sure.
Does this board wish to also publish in the Rutland Herald?
That costs money, Paul, right? That's like.
They all cost money,
Yeah, but $200-300.
depends on how big the notice
Yes,
is.
how many words you can.
Probably gonna be the best return here. Or you probably know what's coming.
Depends on what their circulation is. It used to be like
Yeah.
11,000. I think it's down to like 5. I mean, but if it's the only paper, yeah, you know.
So I would say that we use the Rutland Herald.
Free press online, I think they only have like 400
You
people.
have to subscribe.
So do I hear a motion to use the Rutland Herald as another alternative as a posting policy?
I don't know if it's gonna, well, will we be able to get it in there as easily? Or we're gonna have trouble because it's not gonna be posted on time. It's gonna be hard to.
Well, these are for like special meetings, warnings.
Be able to get in there.
I don't post it. I don't typically, I also have a special meeting. I don't usually post anything in the Rutland Herald. It's more for like a bond vote or, a special vote on.
DRB decision or something like that.
I hear Mark made the motion. Is someone seconded it?
I'll second.
Any comments or questions by the board? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. On to the road report.
The foundation in the back of the highway department is separating pretty severely. I don't know if it's because of the freeze and thaw or whatnot, but we'll keep our eyes on it. But that's about a 2-inch gap roughly. It's always been cracked, but it's never been gapped like that. We just found it today like that when we were getting supplies for the road closure today. So, we're moving along the best we can with it, but just figured I would let the board know. It's a new
That's
finding.
in the main building, the main store.
This is behind the bays, it's within the main building.
Did you see steel inside that crack? Can you see steel?
I mean, you could see down to the dirt. I didn't look for the rebar and stuff. I just didn't really put a lot of time into it. Just
No.
saw that it was visibly bad and pretty well separated, so there is a ditch directly behind that too. It takes the runoff from the high school parking lot and whatnot, so I think it'll be okay. We'll keep an eye on it, and if it starts doing something super scary, we'll figure it out as need to, I guess, but
I was talking with Charlie Brown today. Of course, I guess he's coming in front of the DRB for his building or something. I was talking about the size of his building. It's 200 feet long, 60 feet wide, steel building. He erected it for $75,000. It was $125,000 for the cement work. So they aren't that, they aren't so outpriced.
That was a used building that he bought, used, and dismantled it and re-erected it.
Yeah, people to use.
Just throwing it out there, cause
Right.
I know he's gonna be, he said he's gotta go
Yeah.
in front of the DRB for another matter, but that made my eyebrows go up when,
Yeah.
that's a pretty decent price to save for taxpayers, right there.
Right, but it's not tall enough here.
Well, that's just a start. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
a start of direction
But it's good size. It is a very good.
that we
size
can look at.
building.
I'm sorry. Go back.
oh, you're good.
I gotta stop trying.
So that's it for that. Truck 3, the board wished to discuss that after the town meeting day. So just wondering if there's any new thoughts where we're at with truck 3, because we know we did another repair on it. It's now got a push button starter to coincide with the key ignition.
Backwards.
But I mean, it's running, so
Hmm.
it's a matter of.
This is that 750 that we want to replace it with that.
So it's currently a 2012 Dodge Ram 5500 or Ram 5500 with the Cummins diesel. It's a dually. And my proposal was to replace it with a brand new F600, specifically the F600, because it has a cross member in between the frame behind the cab that Ram doesn't offer, and neither does Duramax. And putting wing on for outfitting with wing on the truck, that you're adding a lot of,
Yes.
a lot of it only makes sense to do it from a structural standpoint, basically.
Last time we looked at it was what, about 190?
I can pull up the quote if you like.
I didn't send these out. It was a-
So it's 100.
With the wing, that was around 190.
Yeah, the outfit. Yeah, let me just pull it up real quick.
What do we have in our budget right now for equipment replacement? It must be pretty low.
We have about 80,000 in there now.
We got the budget,
Budget passed, but it hasn't been funded yet.
not until July 1st.
The first thing you gotta do, what sets off the chain, making it's a reality. Fit.
Well, it's gonna be ordering the cabin chassis truck, and then getting it to Viking. And then I mean, if I called tomorrow morning, as soon as Formula Ford opened, or whichever Ford dealership we decide to go with, as soon as they open, we're still not gonna see the truck completely outfitted and everything until basically the end or late next winter. Maybe before the winter if we're lucky, but I mean they're a year to over a year out for the most part. Being that it's not a full-size dump truck, they might be able to get it in and get it going a little quicker, but I wouldn't count on that.
You have to put a deposit down.
So there's a couple ways it can go. The town can buy the truck directly from Ford, or the truck can be bought by Viking, and then they would transfer ownership so that we don't have to sit on the cabin chassis until they're ready to do the outfit. And then once Viking is done with the outfit and everything, then they would transfer the title and the ownership and warranty would get transferred to us. And that would not mess up the warranty that I discussed and the, you know, ease of getting the truck into Formula Ford for repairs on a quick timeline. That was one of the things that I really liked about Formula Ford is, for one, they're 20 minutes up the road. For two, they're adding a night shift to mechanics and an on the road mechanics. So that gives them a much better upper hand than any other dealership around here as far as cabin chassis side of the truck goes. As far as upfit side of the truck goes, and I'm still looking at Burlington, going to Williston for Viking parts, and a lot of stuff I can get from Fort Miller down in by the Washington County Fairgrounds as well. But they do offer, you know, that ability to prioritize municipal vehicles when they know that, you know, because they understand that we need this stuff. We don't have extras laying around that the guys can say, oh, you know. So I can find out, and I can find out if there's any other options than that as well. But that's basically the two that I know of at this point.
But the sooner you get it on order.
The sooner the cabin chassis is on order, yeah.
What if just the cabin chassis cost?
The cabin chassis.
69.
So let me give you the upfit cost is $85,400. Well, I'm looking at that. You have it written in front of you?
I have to.
Okay. Yeah, just a second.
69,625.
Yeah, and they're holding that quoted price. Told them that the board wanted to discuss that.
Or was it 69.25?
69,225.
That was in my thing.
We have money to put right now. Get it on order.
Plus after July 1st, we'll have another. We budget on that 110 or 120?
No, this year I moved it to 130.
130? Well, we have
For the
money.
coming fiscal year, 135.
Right.
What's the board? How do you feel, Mark? What do you think,
I think we should order it tomorrow morning.
Alan? You got it. Order it tomorrow.
Conform with it.
Formula Ford.
He gave us two prices, the one from the.
Right. They were the cheaper one, and they were the one that had the best mechanical service
Yeah.
department. And
Yeah, Formula Ford was a 69,225.
yeah. So next thing is today, as pretty much everybody knows, we did some emergency culvert work out on 140. This is what the road looked like before. This is between Fennel Hollow and Hampshire Hollow. There's a 18-inch galvanized culvert that we believe is separated at the band, which is 20 feet in, which is just about the dead center line of the road. And it had collapsed all the way through, and we figured with all the spring rain that it was going to keep on lining, and we actually lose that material, which means more material will fall down over it and weaken the road between the culvert and
And you get a sinkhole.
then you get a sinkhole or multiple sinkholes and either send somebody over into the Poultney River or down into the sinkhole. So we secured two 8x10 1-inch steel plates, and today we got those into,
Over those today.
we got it milled, and
What's that mean?
so somebody came through a 2-foot wide milling machine, which is it's bits, a scarifier. You ever driven over the road after they chew it all up and it's all rough and textured and stuff? It scarifies the road. So they dropped it down about 1.5 inches or so, scarified the whole affected area. And then they did a really good job. It was
I'm gonna be on my way home.
Was it pretty smooth?
to get the plates to set in
Oh, they did a good job. Yeah,
really close to flush.
that's nice.
There's still a little bit of a dip there, but cars can go over it at full speed. Passenger vehicles can go over it at full speed. And, motorcycles, bicycles, I would err on the side of caution. We
What do you
do
plan
have signs
on-
out.
Replacing it.
The intention is to do this around the same time frame as the 140 culvert at Town Farm. To do one and then go right into the other, because we're planning 5 to 7 days. We're kind of thinking, that area could be potentially closed down. So while we have all of that detour set up and everything, I feel like that would be the best bet. We're gonna have to do bank stabilization and everything on the river side of this. And there's a drop inlet or a concrete basin on this side. So it's not just digging it out real quick, pulling the culvert out, slapping a new one in. It's gotta be done pretty carefully. So that's,
So that's not a state highway, huh?
Roads are bad.
well,
The state highway, but
It
it's the town's responsibility to maintain it.
Are they gonna pay us to do?
No, I mean, they can apply for a grant, right?
Like for ranch. But that is a state highway.
Well, we were getting into the history of roads in Vermont, but sometime in the 1920s or thereabouts, towns had the option to say to the state, it's your road, you maintain it, or it comes through our town, we're gonna maintain it. And as I understand it, only at the time said, we want to maintain our roads. So that's why we maintain it.
so we're gonna try to get the structures grant. This will probably be in for, till, I'm still hoping this is just a wish at the time, but hoping for like the second week of May that we can start working on that, the actual fix for that.
You won't have a structure, you won't have a yay or nay on a structures grant that early.
We have to prolong it. And
Is the frost or anything like that gonna affect that, or that's all good now?
that and the ground being saturated was kind of a reason why we really didn't want to do anything too disturbing right now. Cause a lot of the ground's still frozen, some of it's not. And we really want it to be all
In between.
pretty much the same consistency, especially with the retainment side leading down to the Poultney River. That needs to be pretty good when it's done. So,
Good call.
but this is a safe option, to buy us time until we can actually do the proper remedy for replacing the culverts and whatnot. And the road closure was posted on Vermont Alert and the town webpage. I do realize I had some upset people today. I do realize that, that's not gonna get everybody, but without help from 911 sending out a mass message to everybody within a proximity, there's unfortunately no way. And we did mark the detour route for passenger vehicles and anything below 12 feet height, basically. So I do apologize if it was an inconvenience for anyone, but felt that this was necessary to make the roadway safe, and it was the best thing that we could do.
Do we have any good signs to go up as far as the bypass route?
We did throw signs up. I had a guy sit out at Parker Water Wells in case tractor trailers tried to come down through. He turned around tractor trailers there instead of letting them get all the way to Hampshire Hollow. And anybody else in like a box truck or anything of significant weight or height due to the low communication lines up on Highland Gray. That was also a concern going into this, that I communicated to Consolidated Communications for a year now, and they don't really seem to care very much about where the fact that their lines are 12 feet and they need to be at least 13.6 from the roadway. But hopefully that's going to get taken care of soon, and we did the best we could, and I think it went pretty well. We blew a hydraulic line in the loader before we even got the first plate set in, but we shifted gears, adapted, and knocked it out of the park still. And I think I still think it's a fantastic fit. If anybody's ever driven over steel plates before, usually they're either on top of the asphalt or there's a big joint between them. And the guys did really good. So
Good job.
Yeah, I like that.
Upper States.
You're not, it's not gonna come out of there. You can,
Only worries me is it's really bad underneath there. It's still gonna sink, just as long as it doesn't.
so it's 8 feet wide. I know it's hard to tell from the picture, but the plates are 8 feet by 10 feet and they're 1 inch thick. They're 8 feet wide. The culvert is a diameter of 18 inches. So
Okay.
you have a lot of overlap on the solid ground.
Okay.
And we only milled as deep as we needed to recess it because we didn't want to disturb anything more than we had to.
They won't disturb the virgin earth.
That and any asphalt that we can leave there is adding a little bit of structural rigidity to it as well. So,
You cleaned it up nice, because it's hard to even notice it.
yeah,
Fine.
yeah.
Good.
Unless anybody has any questions for me, that's all I've got for the board tonight.
Anybody have any questions?
Control.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Community development.
Sarah couldn't make it tonight, so, I have no report.
All right, on the town manager's report.
Billy Jones, had asked to come and give a presentation to the board about, emergency management. You're now the director? Or?
For those folks that don't know, I changed positions with the state in December. I'm now the regional coordinator for Vermont Emergency Management, assigned to Bennington and Rutland counties. My major role is to support the RPCs, which is the Regional Planning Commission. But the RPCs used to take care of the local emergency management plans, and was shifted over through legislation back to Vermont Emergency Management. So I'm responsible to upload in all the town in Bennington and Rutland County. So what I did is I took information from the 2024 local emergency plan and uploaded it into the 2025 format. And I just, when it comes around, I have a couple of spots on there. I put question marks in that I wanted to get your votes. And just a couple of questions. There's no, I'm not looking for any answers other than maybe the first question. So
Get
For doing that. Usually I'm
Yeah.
some help.
stumbling along.
sure, we have extra.
Hand one back to them.
So the first question, right on the first page, folks. Bear with me. Want to get there. Who has the authority to open up the emergency operating center?
Wait, I have one?
Well,
I would say it'd be Chief Kerber or myself.
Okay, and these are just questions. I'm not looking, so we'll keep it the same as the emergency management director and the EOC,
Yeah.
the emergency management coordinator.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. My next question, folks, actually has to do with the shelters that we have listed. The town of Poultney says that both shelters, one, the primary is the high school.
That's correct.
Okay. And the secondary is the elementary school.
That's correct.
If those shelters get stood up, two part question. One, is school going to maintain open? And two, is it an overnight shelter and can we get it up and running? Do we have the equipment to open that shelter with cots and
No,
no? Okay. Okay.
not to my knowledge, no.
One of the things about sheltering at schools, and I'm not saying anything, right? I'm not saying this is what we need to do, but the big push right now is it's two sides, right? One, where we know politically the schools need to be open because we want children in school. The second is, do we want people going in and out of that school if school is in session? So, I don't know of any other shelters in Poultney that I could think of.
I don't know about the Catholic side.
Catholic.
I was thinking,
Oh, it's not that big though.
It's not that big. Well, you
Big enough.
yeah, you got the Catholic Center and you got the Senior Center.
okay, maybe what's that hall called where they play basketball?
That's the rec hall.
The rec hall.
Rec Hall Catholic Center.
I I'll leave you with this, Paul. This is a shelter guidance. I don't know if that's something the town wants to look into. So if we did have to evacuate,
Can you give an example? What are we talking about numbers? If we evacuate, does it depend on, I know what happens.
so the overnight, and I apologize for not having the answer, Cheryl, but I would have to say the Division of Fire Safety would tell us it's a square footage, number of people on square footage. And it changes day and night, right? Because when you're housing people, the number goes down big time. Right now, the 2024 local emergency management plan said that the schools could hold up to 250 people during the day, each one.
I'm a little cautious of having the schools open, but if that's not be a way, if it's in the gym and you can shut it off, I can't imagine having.
You can do both
Both,
at
yeah.
the same time.
That's what I'm thinking, or would they want to be in there if there's some kind of,
That pretty much is a catastrophic event.
so I'm thinking, would
So
they
I
be in
don't
school?
think your
anyways?
school would be
Yeah.
open
Right.
during
No,
that
that's good.
event.
I'm looking at it, right? Common sense. If we have a catastrophic event in Poultney, there's a pretty good chance school's not gonna be open.
School won't
Let's
be
hope
open.
School's not gonna, okay, yeah.
But it's not gonna hurt to look into the Catholic.
Look into. So we'll leave them listed like they are for right now, and then if that changes, I can always go in and update.
Yeah.
In the state web EOC system, I can go in there and update any changes that are made.
Still have good sized gyms.
Mhm.
So with that being said, I will, I'll type in that information that Paul was talking about. And then, I'll email the adoption form and the completed local emergency management plan back to Paul in email format. And when you folks approve it, he just sends it back to me and it gets uploaded into the state system.
Yeah,
Thanks for doing all that work.
see, that's easy peasy, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's much easier if I have something that I can look at and
Yeah.
present it. So it's just as easy to pick information prior and upload it.
We are working on generators for the schools.
It did get turned down, but the latest grant.
Yeah. We'll read the rest of this when we get home.
Yes, and if there's any changes, let me know, Paul.
Okay.
And then I can stop by and say hi and
Okay,
get it sent to you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Hope we never need it.
Yeah. Just glad the ice is out.
Is that now?
Yeah, there's nothing left on that river.
Uh-huh.
Did have me worried this year. It was cold.
Yeah, winter's not over.
Okay. To the next,
So I just had a note, regarding regenerative land holding, and specifically the communication that they had circulated to the community right before, the town meeting day.
thank you, Billy.
And I guess would put on the record again, as I had in previous select board meetings, that, Regenerative Land Holdings has appealed its assessment, the assessor's assessment, appealed it to the Board of Civil Authority. The Board of Civil Authority had a hearing, had a site visit, determined that they agreed with the assessor's assessment of the campus, and they have appealed that assessment to the Vermont Superior Court. We are in active court proceedings. Currently, the discovery schedule is calling for all discovery to be completed by September of 2025. Not to say that the discovery schedule doesn't sometimes get extended. So I just thought it was a good idea to put that on the record again. Because I think that communication that was circulated maybe was not the fullest picture. And as this board knows, you have been dealing with Mr. Bacta and his team in executive session. And when he appealed his current assessment, that's when the board advised him that they wanted to see how the proceedings played out. And it gives the opportunity for Mr. Bacta and his team to have an independent appraisal of the property, and it gives the town the opportunity to have its own independent appraisal of the property. And it gives both sides the opportunity to make inquiry to the other side about what's your basis, et cetera, for your assessment. And ultimately, at that level, the court will decide what the assessment should be. So unless this board wishes to take another course of action, or if Mr. Bacta and his team want to either bring the discussion into the public forum, which it looks like from the tone of his letter, that's what he wants to do. I'd leave it up to them to make a proposal. I thought we should have some sort of response to that letter, and it's still, in my opinion, not a full, it's not a full accounting of where we are and how we got here, but I just thought it made sense to have something further on the record, particularly because of the scrutiny that, in my opinion, that letter sheds not only on this board, myself, but the entire town. And I've heard some different feedback from different community members, but I just thought we should put something further on the record.
I agree, Paul.
Totally.
I think they need to know that we have been working at it. We have been having meetings, and as Dan says, I think it's really important that they know that. So they voted for us to negotiate in good faith and bring it back to them, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're just in a holding spot. So I think that's.
We've been negotiating with his team and him in executive session. If he wants to bring it out of executive session, you have to understand everything you say will be recorded, and everything we do will be open to the public. Just want that known.
That stuff being said, is it possible to keep talking about that civilization while this isn't the appeal process? Would that be possible? And we assume it wouldn't be.
I mean, I guess everything's possible.
Would it be advisable?
This is how we felt when we met as a board, that it
Right.
wasn't.
Right, so was when. And I agree with that.
I think the board should stay where we stand right now. It's in the courts. See, we agreed as a board earlier to wait and see what this came out as. Am I correct?
Yes, that's what we all agreed.
Let's see it play. Unless he wants it, if he wants to bring it in open session. Is everybody okay with that? Alan, you all right with that? Cheryl? You okay too, Mark?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so I just had a note here about the BRIC project. We did have when I say we, myself for the town, Sarah Pelkey for the town, some members of the Rutland Regional Planning Commission, some members of the state of Vermont, a member of Vermont Emergency Management regarding the next, and also our engineer company that is doing the project for us. We had a conference call, probably an hour and a half, maybe more, conference call about where do we go from here, how do we proceed. Fitzgerald and Associates are still working on what's called a cost benefit analysis to do an analysis of did the cost of an alternative justify the outcome. The issue I can foresee coming, at least for this round of grant monies, is that although if a grant was awarded to do an implementation project, there's a 25% match, which would come from Vermont Emergency Management, and the state, it's a reimbursable grant. So whatever the grant is, I think that, you know, just as an example, the proposed alternative for the changing the span of the bridge was something in the neighborhood of $2 million. It's a reimbursable grant, so you got to pay for that before you can get reimbursed. So, you know, at least for that round of funding, I think it's, and the deadline for that pre-application is approaching rather quickly. I'm not sure the state is going to be prepared to move forward if, at least in this round of application. So we're going to continue the conversation, and hopefully the cost benefit analysis will prove out that it's worth doing one of those alternatives.
The state looked at alternative. They were on board with alternative 2, correct?
I think generally, before the meeting, it seemed generally they were on board with increasing the span of the bridge. After the meeting, I'm not so sure that's the same answer.
Really?
I think their main, there's budgetary purposes seem to be one of their main drivers. And in trying to see, if you can't, if in this, at least in this grant program, if you can't prove that spending that money is going to equalize or greater the cost of saving, for instance, damage to people's properties, they won't fund it. So, we're in the process of, or Fitzgerald and Associates are in the process of doing that, but I wanted to come to the board and, you know, give my honest reaction to that meeting. And,
Well, we know pretty much where we stand. So a catastrophic event happens, which it will in time. We won't be prepared.
well, they have to do an analysis. If we do this bridge, is that gonna save something?
Save something, yeah.
So, you gotta do it based on engineering modeling. You can't just do it based on hunches.
Mhm.
So
I understand.
continuing. I had meant to mention at the top of the meeting, there was a couple other things under Transact, any other lawful business. I have the liquor, the clerk has provided me with a couple of liquor licenses. Actually one for second class license, tobacco license, and tobacco substitute license for Shaw's. If someone wants to have a discussion or make a motion to approve those applications.
Oh, you want to make a motion?
I would make a motion to approve all the applications for those permits.
So that's.
Cigarette. You don't?
Second class license, tobacco license, and tobacco substitute.
Yes, I would make a
Oh,
motion
that's-
to approve those.
I'll second.
Any comments or questions by the board on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
You don't want to sign it.
Yep.
Or it's since we were doing.
So, do we need to discuss the BRIC projects in most for the Justin Bridge or? They go is what we indicated. There's going to be one. Over back. We haven't got anything back from the engineering.
I mean, if you don't have the state, if you don't have the state running the show, you don't, there's no project.
Right.
So,
They don't-
I don't know
So
what,
what should we do it for?
I don't know, talk to your reps and legislators and tell them it's an important thing and
Right.
You try to get them to push it along. Okay,
the other thing I wanted to put on there was, you may recall at last regular select board meeting where Rachel Fowler was citing a statute in a select, from it, that she's garnered from a select board handbook that, and she's trying to compel this board to offer them compensation for their chickens caused by the Bacta dogs. The next morning, because I was unfamiliar with this statute, the next morning I pulled the statute, and the statute that she was citing was a statute that was repealed in 2011. There used to be a mechanism whereby this board could be compelled to offer compensation for, the death of fowl. But it was repealed in 2011, so I advised, Mrs. Fowler that I did some research and that it was repealed in 2011. And I think I should point out that this is yet another example of people on social media telling people, oh, the select board doesn't know what they're doing. All they have to do is look at their select board handbook in Title 20, blah, 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 blah. Well, if you're looking at an old select board handbook that's citing an old statute that was repealed in 2011, it's what I would call misinformation, false hope. Because it's weaponized against the select board and my office, that we just are just a bunch of bubbling fools that don't know what they're doing. And I feel like I'm on my soapbox now the last several select board meetings where I say, can you just not listen to the rumor? And
come to the meeting.
is it worth me even mentioning this? Probably not. But just another example. So that's all I have to say about that.
Okay,
Thanks for checking on it. Oh,
Yeah, thank you.
that's good. Rutland Regional Planning Commission.
I spoke to Sarah Pelkey, and she said she didn't really have anything to report at the select board at this meeting.
Public comments and concerns. Got some people, go ahead, Mary Sue.
I want to thank Joel and the highway department for putting those plates, and I came at least into town. It was great. You just drop down a tiny bit, but it's so clean looking. So thank you, because it was getting pretty bad, especially heading
Yeah.
back out of town.
Welcome.
It was nasty. So, thank you for that. We had a little extra traffic on Loop Road, but wasn't for too long. In the meeting minutes for February 24th, I'd like to point out one error that was in the road report. It's the third comment down. It's listed as a 2021 Dodge, and I think it's supposed to be the 2012. I think that's important to keep that. think it's the same vehicle you were talking about tonight.
Yeah, it would be hard pressed to justify replacing in 2021.
Yeah, I would hope it would last a little bit longer. And then, my other question is also in those meeting minutes, you talk about, the 177 Main Street agreement, and you said we've engaged an architectural firm. Can you tell us what the name of the firm is?
Yeah, they have an acronym that I can never remember.
Is that the same firm that's doing the testing? Architectural people?
It's, I think we had it in somewhere in the minutes, but I'm just trying to pull it up.
For the bank, right?
Yeah.
On those minutes on the 24th, we'll have to make a motion to amend those minutes to the correct date.
Yes, I can. I don't want to say the wrong thing because it's like an acronym that I can never remember.
Hey, you want to get back to me?
Yeah,
That'll be good.
I can do that.
And let's see, you just discussed, the issue with regenerative land holdings. I think having a little bit more, communications out there as to what the board is doing would leave a lot of the questions that are popping up on social media. And with what you've discussed tonight, is the board planning on sending a letter to regenerative land holdings saying this is where we stand for clarification purposes or what?
I mean,
You discussed it and then you agreed with what you discussed, but I don't know if you're taking it a step further by sending anything to them.
I mean, they know what the select board's position is.
Know our position.
I think they just are hoping that the select board's gonna change their position based on whatever pressure from the public. I don't really, I mean, if you're suggesting, are we gonna respond like, well, that's, that's not exactly how we see it, bullet point. I don't really know if it's worth that, like, I mean, me getting 50 something emails, what does that have to do with anything, if that's even true?
57.
57, okay, thank you. So I don't know, I mean, we sat here in a room with him and his team, and that's what we said to him, so I don't really know what else we would say to them. I mean, I can do the meeting minutes and send, here's the meeting minutes. I'll highlight the section that we talked about it again.
That'll work.
I think it falls in their court that he wants it done.
Yeah.
And as far as sending something out to the public, Mary Sue, we are in executive session.
Oh, I know that.
So that
No,
we can,
I know that, but basically what you discussed tonight, that's all.
oh, that's what you mean.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is not
Okay.
Not that, but again, I know it's hard to address something like this. It really is hard.
I don't think we need to address it. I think it was written, and I don't think it's something we need to address for that. I think.
But I think at least for the public in the meeting minutes, you've
Right.
clarified.
Yes, we did clarify that,
Okay.
that it is, he's
Right.
appealed
Exactly.
the decision that the board made,
that the BCA made.
that the BCA made. Before we go on to more questions, though, do I hear a motion to adjust the minutes of February 24th minutes? Of the date,
Yeah.
the 2000
Well, it says 21, yes.
and
I'll make the motion.
Sure.
For the truck.
Like that.
I second.
any comments or questions by the board? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, now that's gonna be,
Thank you.
we're on the record then. Okay,
Yes, sir.
So I just had a question about the deal that you're trying to work out with Otter. You know, first off, I have no doubt in my mind who has the town's interest in mind, acting in the best interest of the town or making their best efforts to act in the best interest of the town. But is it basically the board's decision? I think I heard it. I just want to make sure is that you will not negotiate with them until September, until that court appeal is handed down. Is that and the reason I asked that is because he made it pretty clear that he's got a lot of carrying costs for that campus. It's almost like you're putting him in a position where it's like, you know, drop the appeal and start negotiating with you again, or sit here and pay another $1 million to maintain this property while you wait for your appeal to go through. And I think that if that's the tactic, and you guys don't have to say whether or not that's the tactic, but if that's the tactic, I think that's pretty cool. My only concern is that I think we got a pretty interesting opportunity to have somebody pour a lot of money into this town. I know our children, the schools would benefit from it. Our resources, you know, for trucks for the roads. I mean, our tax base would explode if he was successful. And there's no telling if he would be successful. But there is a lot of people that say that, you know, who wants to come to Poultney, Vermont? I'm from New Jersey. I've been here in Poultney for about 11 years now. Everybody wants to come to Poultney, Vermont. People love this town. My wife and I bought the house next door to us about 5 years ago. We Airbnb'd it thinking we would just barely maybe help pay for some of the utilities or the taxes. People rent it almost every single weekend for the past 4 or 5 years straight. People love coming to this town. The reason I mention that is I think he has the opportunity to have successful business. And if he's successful, I think our town really benefits from that. And I'm thinking about the children. I'm thinking about our taxpayers who their property values go through the roof. I'm thinking about how, you know, we have seniors in this town who, you know, would have extra resources because we have increased tax revenues. And then there'd be job opportunities that we currently don't have. Small business owners would have new patrons with a lot deeper pockets than they currently have. You'd be hard pressed to find anybody that doesn't benefit from it. You'd also have demand to create more multi-family housing for people. Right now, there is no vacancies, right? But if you had demand moving into the town like that, people that develop real estate would have a justification to build a 4-plex or a 6-plex here in Poultney, so people have a place to live. People are literally leaving Poultney because they don't have a place to live. So, and I think you guys probably already know this, but you know, I've seen it. My brother's town in Morristown, New Jersey. You guys can look it up when you get a chance. About 5 years ago, they decided to let a very large accounting firm come into the town. That accounting firm attracted a lot of money and a lot of development. And then another firm moved into the town, and that attracted a lot of white collar jobs, places for people to work, services industries, restaurants, all types of accessories that you know, 5-6 years ago, I couldn't have ever imagined could have been created out of just bringing in 1,000 jobs into the town. There's all types of ancillary things that happen. So I just wonder when I hear that the guy's got to carry for 6 months, and, you know, I get that he's not an easy person to deal with. I've spoken to him a number of times, but I wonder if there's not like a framework for the deal that can't be built out. You know, obviously the dollar amount is unknown until the appeals court finishes up, but I wonder if there's not a framework to a deal that can be made. I mean, the town has to vote on it anyway, right? So if he's being unreasonable, one of the other ways to get around this thing is if he's being unreasonable, is let him put his unreasonable plan forward and the town will vote it down. You don't necessarily have to hold it all on your backs to make the decision, because as you guys saw with social media, the town is invested and involved in this. And there's a lot of people with a lot of scrutiny on it. So you guys don't have to necessarily get like the best deal. If he's being unreasonable, you know, and that, you know, in my mind, if he's being unreasonable, let him be unreasonable. Throw it up for a vote. it'll get turned down, and then he'll have to come back to the table and be more reasonable on the second go around, or he'll have to figure something else to do with the property. So, those are just my thoughts.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
A lot of reasons why we've been in executive session. And I'm very much a stickler. If you're in executive session, it stays. That's why we were a little upset.
But we have had a lot of good meetings. I think a lot of people don't
We have.
realize that we have had a lot of meetings and we work back and forth with lawyers and a lot of things we have to check on. So there's a lot that goes into it, the decision. It's not just, I'm not a lawyer. It's not just, us saying that's great. Well, what do I really know? So I think there's gonna be a lot of that too. So save that great speech. So when it comes to the community.
And that's what we think of as the community, how it's gonna grow, how it's gonna prosper. And we really can't comment on what's going on. It kind of drives me nuts too,
Yeah.
but that's,
Well, it's nice to hear that you guys are, at least there is a line of communication, because the way he makes it sound, or the letter strongly implies that there's no communication, that the whole thing's deadlocked and stalled out. So, that's my comment on that. I just wonder, is the Trestle Bridge, are you talking about the bridge to South Street? Just switching topics here.
that's Route 31.
Route 31, right?
The
No,
Trestle,
that's the Trestle Bridge on the rail trail.
on the rail trail.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was looking over your shoulder. I see it.
Yeah, that's on the
When
rail.
you guys put, or when the state puts in the temporary bridge, are they gonna have a pedestrian walkway on that temporary bridge? I looked at the plans and it's very unclear.
I mean, I'm going off my memory. I think so, but I'm going off my memory.
Cause there's about 40 children that live on South Street, as I'm
Mhm.
sure you guys know. And a lot of them like to go in and out of town. And they don't have
Yeah.
sidewalks already, which is, they're the only street that's ancillary to town that doesn't have sidewalks. But if they have to cross a bridge for the next 2 years, I mean, it's gonna impact them quite a bit.
It does look.
I almost think I don't want to say because I don't remember.
I thought I had one.
Sure. I remember what-
We'll find out.
Is there one there now?
Yes.
Yeah, there's one there now. It's not the same fish, but
It's not the safest, yeah. There's a lot of sinkholes in that night.
I think so.
When you're walking your dog, you're better off the road.
Right.
Yeah, we're commenting yes or no, we're on our memory and it's been a bit.
Yeah.
So we'll get back to, and we'll find out.
Okay, thank you. And thanks for everything you guys are doing. I know you guys spend a lot of time doing what you guys do, and I know it doesn't get a lot of appreciation.
This does take a lot of time, doesn't it? It's just a couple of nights a week.
Nice nice to hear positive things, though, we have to say sometimes. Nice joke.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Carol, what do you got?
I assume the board has the answer to my question in the pre-town meeting.
For that 100,000?
Yeah, $83,854, the health reimbursement account. Where's that charged to?
I
Spend it in?
haven't had the conversation with Deisha yet. I'll get the answer for you.
That's on that reimbursement?
The health reimbursement account, it's showing 0 for 23-24
Right.
in the general government and in the highway. But when you show it down on the bottom of the page for the benefits, because we pay the total cost of the health insurance and all deductibles and everything, and that's what's in that 83,854. And just don't know where it's charged to.
It's in there. We gotta find it.
Yeah. I hope so.
Oh, it is. It is someplace. It's
What's the reimbursement for?
Insurance.
insurance,
Insurance.
health insurance. Yeah, you weren't.
And it's Vermont Integrated Architecture.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, we got most of the questions answered tonight. We got most, that's Kill Bill,
Kill Bill, I know. Yeah.
sorry.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
We got most of the questions answered tonight anyway.
All right, anything else in public comments and concerns? All right. Do you hear a motion to sign the board orders?
Make a motion to send the board orders.
Any comments or questions by the board? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Do we need to go into executive session tonight?
No.
Do you hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Well, second.
Thank you.
All in favor? Motion carried.